What were the subjects of your essay which you
Sir,
attempted about 3-4 months back?
what do you think of women empowerment?
You know, some countries, what is the biggest problem that the senior citizens face in any society?
In the context of sociology, what is the difference between cliques and clans?
May I
Please
come
come
in,
in.
sir?
Yes.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir.
Come, Ashi. Take a seat.
Thank you, sir.
Ashi is from Bhind,
Yes,
Madhya Pradesh.
Yes, sir.
And her optional is sociology.
Yes, sir.
She's otherwise an engineer,
Yes, sir.
civil engineering from
Maulana Azad National Institute.
Maulana Azad National
Institute of
Institute
Technology.
of Technology, Bhopal.
Yes, sir.
And this is your first attempt?
No, sir. This is my second attempt.
A second attempt. Okay, very well. And Ashi is practicing Bhakti Yoga.
Yes, sir.
And she's been team leader and research and policy formulation for informal waste collectors. And first position in suspension bridge model in techno research?
Techno Search.
Techno search.
Yes, sir.
Very well. Okay, Ashi. So, what were the subjects of your essay which you
Sir,
attempted about 3-4 months back?
Sir, I chose to write about that there are some restrictions. I cannot exactly recall the.
Okay, just tell me the theme.
So the theme was that there are some restrictions on boys as well as girls. So like both of the potential of both of these genders are not being utilized.
I see. Because of the restrictions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, give me some little idea about what are the restrictions on girl child and how they should be modified. What change do we need?
So firstly, I think that the girl child and so it is true for boy child as well, that they have been constrained, they have been divided because of the color, like the pink is for girls and blue is for boys. So that should not happen. And this basically
You
is,
mean some kind of a branding of the roles?
Yes, sir.
That
the assignment of roles by the society has been in that way. Like girls, they should be inside the home and doing the domestic responsibilities are mostly on them. And the boys, they have been given like they should be the bread earner of the family. So that burden is also on them. So this kind of branding should not be there. And rather, we should allow them whatever suits them and whatever they like, they should be allowed.
Okay, so coming back to the next question, do you feel that certain skills must be taught to the boys also, that they become more effective potential husbands? What are those things which you would recommend to be taught in school itself?
Sir, I think that boys, they have been socialized by their family and the values of the society also are ingrained in them. So schools play a very important role in dismantling all those myths. So I would suggest that say for example in a school at the very primary level, they can be engaged in cooking competitions that is mainly for girls child only. So that can be done, and apart
Excellent.
from that,
Excellent. Very, very good. Yeah. What else?
sir, apart from that, there should be classes or 0 hours, as we say, that they can be they can be allowed to discuss what are the roles that their mothers play in their homes and how their sisters are doing. So all these things can be discussed while they are studying in school.
Okay. So some questions from sociology. What is cultural lag?
So cultural lag is the condition where the culture of the society lags behind the material development of the society.
Which
Say
culture?
So the traditional values in the society.
There are 2 types of cultures. This is the hint. One is material,
Yes, sir.
another is non-material.
Yes, sir.
Now tell me.
So the non-material culture lags behind the material culture or the economic development in the society. Say for example, women have been they have been given the choice to work outside, and they have now economic independence as well. But at the same time, we see that their traditional roles are they are more obligated towards their traditional
Yeah,
roles.
but these becomes both are examples of non-material culture only.
So, but they are having like economically, they are now well off as compared to earlier.
I'll
So,
suggest please read up on this.
yes, sir, I'll read upon
Just
it.
give you a hint on the material side, because material culture is well defined, directional. Faster cars, fastest cars, safer cars. And non-material side, you can choose Picasso or M.F. Hussain or Jamini Roy or anybody.
Yes, sir, I'll read upon it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So it's the difference between the material and non-material culture, that lag, which poses itself as a. So this is the hint. So please prepare that
Yes,
well.
sir.
So Emile Durkheim talks about 4 types of suicides. What
Yes,
are
sir.
they?
So he talks about egoistic suicide, that is because of less integration in the society. Then he talks about anomic suicide, and he also talks about fatalistic suicide, and one more is altruistic suicide, where there is
So
more.
can you give me an example of altruistic suicide?
Sir, in earlier times there used to be sati practice, which can be considered as altruistic suicide.
Is it?
Yes, sir.
How about military?
So that is also one form of altruistic suicide.
Okay. So please read up whether sati is the appropriate example.
Yes, sir, I'll read.
Whether it is due to over integration with the society or altruism. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. You are from Bhind. Sometime back, Bhind was famous for notorious reasons.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you give me some?
Ma'am, first thing is dacoity in Chambal region. So there are some reasons because of which dacoity was part of Chambal region. First is the lack of economic development in the region. Agriculture is not very well performing. Second is the societal issues, like there used to be a feudal mindset, there was caste discrimination, there was gender discrimination. So these were the reasons. And apart from that, ma'am, the law enforcement agencies and political support was also there to these kind of dacoits or bagis, so because of which it prevailed in that region.
What about the natural
Ma'am, yes, ma'am,
geography of the region?
Yes, ma'am, geographical reason, there are ravines. So the dacoits, they get the escape routes and they can stay there. They're safe havens for them.
Okay. So, what do you think of women empowerment? Should it
Bhind,
be there?
overall or in Bhind?
No, overall.
Ma'am, women empowerment for me, it basically suggests that there should be no barriers to what women want to do or what interests them. So there should be women empowerment, and this has to be at various levels. First, they should be economically independent so that they do not depend upon the male members. And second, ma'am, socially as well, there are certain restrictions on them. They are like the responsibility or the dual responsibility that they go through. And then third should be the cultural stereotypes are also associated with women. That should not be there, and patriarchy is one of them. And ma'am, fourth, the political representation, that should also increase. And this way we can ensure that they are holistically empowered.
Have you, what is the issue around the Red Sea and the other sea?
Ma'am, in Red Sea, the Houthi rebels of Yemen, they are attacking the seas which are passing through that region, and because of which the countries like USA, Iran and other countries are having problem in trade and passing through that region.
Could there be an amicable solution?
Ma'am, as far as I know, the countries, they are right now, they are deploying their own navies, like the US has sent the ship, and recently India has also saved a ship from being hijacked. So I think the amicable solution can be that there is appropriate dialogue or the open communication between these countries as well as the countries who are having interest, like those who are associated with Houthi rebels like Iran. So this can be one solution.
Okay. Have you heard of Agniveer scheme?
Yes, ma'am.
Just elaborate.
Ma'am, Agniveer scheme is basically for inducting the youngsters in the military. So from 17.5 years to the 21 years of age, these youngsters will be deployed in the army, and it would be for 4 years. I guess it would be for 4 years.
Do you think this 4 years deployment in the army will make them better persons in terms of training, etc.?
Ma'am, I think that this will make them into a better citizen. They'll have a rigorous training, they'll be disciplined, and so this will reflect when they get back to the society. However, there will be issues as well because of this 4-year period, because after that they may not have a suitable, or they will not be having the permanent job, so that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, because after that they have to stand in the same queue.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what do you think of Make in India initiative?
As we are an aspiring nation, it's very important that we promote manufacturing and industrialization in our own country, and self-reliance is very important in that terms. And Make in India is one of that initiative which will attract investment, and there would be more manufacturing and job creation, and this will help us to attain 5 trillion economy.
As a lady in the house, are you allowed to take your own decisions?
Yes, ma'am. I take my own decisions.
Okay. What are your hobbies?
Ma'am, I like to practice Bhakti Yoga. I also like to volunteer for stray animals. And ma'am, I like to read about women leaders.
Okay. But these stray animals are also threat to the passers-by, and they create nuisance for the people who are moving around. So, how do you tackle them?
Ma'am, I agree that they are creating problem and threat to public health, but this issue can be tackled. And first thing that I'd like to suggest is we need to have the proper data of these animals. We need to identify the hotspots where these animals are making groups or making packs in a particular region. And then comes the role of municipal cooperation and the community in that region, as well as the NGO and animal welfare organizations which are working. So what we can do is, the animals who are there, they should be properly vaccinated, they should be sterilized, and this can be done by the municipality as well as the animal welfare organizations. And apart from that, at the community level, we need to educate people about not mistreating these animals, and if they find anything abnormal in these animals, like if they see any dog is being aggressive, then they can report it to the municipality. That dog or any other animal can be taken away from there. And pet responsibility is also one of the things that would help to tackle this problem.
Okay.
Sociology.
Yes, sir.
Do you know some countries, what is the biggest problem that the senior citizens face in any society?
Sir, I think the biggest problem which I could identify is that they are being less valued. As we move towards the, say for example, in India, they are now considered more as a burden than and less as an asset to the society. So that is the biggest problem.
Okay, and they say that loneliness is one of the major problems that they face.
Yes, sir.
And 30 years from now, 60% of India's population will be more than, or 40% will be more than 60 years old,
Yes,
right?
sir.
So do you think at that stage, India should think of making a ministry of loneliness? Should there be a minister for loneliness?
Sir, I think there should be a ministry of happiness, where if a person is not happy, that means he or she might be lonely. So that will be like it would be involved in that only.
Okay, but do you know some countries which have minister for loneliness?
No, sir, I'm not aware of.
So as a student of sociology, please read. There is more than one. There are 2 countries. whichever minister for loneliness. One
Yes,
of them
sir.
is Japan.
Yes, sir. It might
All right.
be. Yes, sir. I'll read upon it.
Okay, you've done a lot of things for stray animal welfare.
Yes, sir.
What have you done for street children?
Street children.
Yeah.
So, in my own colony, there were no street children, so I could not do anything. But
There's street
I
children
have.
everywhere.
Yes, sir. Like there used to be some street children beside my shop, where
Yeah.
my father has the shop. So there used to be this child who would come and show us the magic. He was a little child. So I for some days when I was at home, I used to teach him free of cost. Like I'll.
So how many dogs have you helped and how many street children have you helped? You know what I'm getting at?
Yes, sir.
It's fashionable to become animal lover, but the street children that you see every day on a red light, we just do nothing about it.
So in future, I would do something about them as well.
All right. Israel and Hamas war. Who's the net gainer in this conflict? What do you think was the purpose of Hamas and what have they achieved? What is the purpose of Israel and what have they achieved or what have they lost?
So the purpose of Israel is basically to retaliate the attack that was committed by Hamas,
Is
which
that
was
the purpose? To retaliate is not the purpose. That's a means to achieve the purpose.
yes, sir. And behind that, what they also want is to oust the Gazans who are there on the territory. So they want the Gazans to move away, and also they want the Palestinian land which is there for themselves. So that is one of the purposes.
What was the stated purpose of this Israeli purpose in this Gazan war? Is that what the government has stated? To have this Gaza Strip vacated off the Palestinians? Is that what they have said?
No, sir, they have not said that, but
What have
basically
they
they
said?
want to end the organization or the group Hamas. That is their main purpose.
Have they achieved it?
So recently I read the news that they have killed the one of the supreme leaders of Hamas in Beirut attack. So not completely,
So
but
you kill one leader, another one steps in, never ends.
yes, sir. So I think.
Okay. So go ahead, please.
So I think whatever be their purpose, they are ultimately harming the humanity because they are attacks on civilians. So
Okay, in the whole conflict, whom do you blame? The Hamas or Israeli? Whatever is happening there. Who's to blame for the present state of affairs?
So there are complex factors behind this entire set of events, but the immediate factor would be the attack by the Hamas that was recently done.
All right. The United States is helping Ukraine. That war has been going on for 2 years. Despite all the condemnation of Hamas, Israel, US is continuing to support and provide all the wherewithal to Israel, and the war is carried on for whatever number of days. So is US really a part of the solution or is it part of the problem in both cases?
So in case of Israel, it is supporting Israel with all the like equipments are being provided and economically also. But I believe that US has much larger role to play. It should rather try to bridge the gap which is there between the Hamas and Israel, which it is not doing right now.
Okay, you play volleyball.
Yes, sir.
Why is it that in the international tournaments which are televised on the television, the men wear shorts and the women are more scantily dressed, and the women don't seem to object? They're quite happy wearing whatever they're told to wear.
Sir, I think it is the conventional or the dress code of that particular sports, and it has less to
Why
do
are not
with.
men wearing the same thing? They can also play in a similar kind of attire.
No, sir.
Is it to objectify the ladies and use them as marketing tools? And no ladies seem to be objecting to that.
Sir, I think the women players who are not objectifying, they are accepting it. So it's their choice and freedom. So
In tennis, everybody is properly dressed. Women and men are dressed, the right way. Okay, thank you. Think
Thank
it
you,
over.
sir.
Right, Ashi. In the context of sociology, what is the difference between cliques and clans? Have you
So
heard
can
of-
you repeat the question, please?
Have you heard of cliques?
No, sir.
Cliques,
No, sir.
clans, forms of social groupings which...
Clans.
Yes.
Yes, sir, I've heard of clans. They are a kind of social group, and they are associated with each other. And for example, there used to be clan in Mongol region of Genghis Khan. So that.
Okay. Yeah. So they differ from another type of social grouping called a clique, which you can read about later.
Yes, sir, I'll read about it.
Tell me this, what are the main changes that you see are ongoing in Indian society as of date? 3 main changes.
So first, I would say the role and positions of women in society has changed. Second, the structure of the families have changed. And so third is the economic structure of the society. Like earlier it was majorly based on agriculture. Now there are other sectors as well. So this has also changed.
And do you think the society in India is becoming more egalitarian?
So it is better than before, but yet there is a lot to do to make it completely egalitarian.
Right. And what is the role of caste differentiation now in the present generation's mind?
So as we are moving towards urbanization, modernization, the role of caste has definitely declined. But sir, still there are certain roles which are played by caste. First is the political identity. It is used in politics. And so second, and there are also the issues which are, or the demands regarding reservation based on caste. And so third, it is also prevailing in the private sphere, like for marriages, etc. Caste is still relevant. So these are the things for which we can say that caste is still relevant.
So speaking of these changes in society, you also mentioned that you wrote your essay about the pressures which boys feel versus the pressures which
Yes,
girls
sir.
feel, right? What do you think are the mental health challenges which girls face versus which the boys face? Are there any differences in those, or would you care to elaborate?
So mental health challenges that a girl would face. First one, she has a lot of responsibility to take care of the household. And while she is doing that, she has to ensure that everyone in the family is happy. So that is one kind of challenge in itself. And second, there is also a kind of pressure on her to be a good daughter, be a good wife, and be a good mother, a perfect mother. So that is also one challenge. And so third is the pressure of getting, like there's a pressure for early marriages on girls, and because of which they cannot complete their education. And so on boys, I would say first is to like they have the burden of earning well. They need to get out of the house and then be the breadwinner. They have to take care of the entire family. And so third, there are some things that they would want to do, but they are not allowed to do because of the masculinity that is there in our society.
So these are not particularly mental health challenges. These are challenges which may translate into different mental health problems. Who do you think is more stressed as far as stress is concerned, anxiety is concerned, depression is concerned, the prevalence of these mental health issues? Are they, do you think, more prevalent in girls or boys, particularly in our country?
Sir, I think both are equally affected, but like it's different for each of them to express. Like in our society, men, they are not allowed to be more expressive, and especially in orthodox society or conservative household. While women, they can share some of the things as compared to men. So I think both are equally affected, but it's just that the expression is less in some communities and it's more in others.
What do you think is the greatest equalizer when you talk about gender differences, or when you talk about what you spoke about earlier about changes in the society that are occurring? What do you think is the great leveler, the one factor which is making everything radically different from what it was?
So one factor that I would say is the respect that each and every person should have for the rights of the other person, and not because of gender, but because the other person is also a human. So if we have that respect towards the other person, then I think it would be a great leveler.
Do you think that factor could be technology and the speed at which it is disseminating?
So technology is definitely one of the great factors, but I think in technology also there is digital divide. Some people are not able to access technology equally. And apart from that, even when they have the access to technology, there is, for example, women face objectification they face on the whenever they are on social media, and there are trolls. So there are a lot of issues which is associated with technology. However, it will also help as provision of level playing field to all the communities.
Yes, and speaking of social media, why so many people who clear the UPSC exam want to become famous? Is there a problem with wanting to become famous on social media for a civil servant particularly?
Sir, I think everyone has their own views about this, but I think there's nothing wrong in being famous, but using that fame for your own career, or say or just being famous and not doing the work is not correct according to me.
And why do you think that is different for a civil servant versus for any other person? Anything particularly different about their expectations?
Sir, it is said that a civil servant is the fourth lion of our like there are three lions and the fourth one should be behind. So it is basically the principle of anonymity that is breached when the civil servant comes to the fore and they are trying to be famous. So it may be that factor.
Okay. Speaking of society, there is another prevalent factor which definitely drains our country of talent, and that's brain drain. What do you think is the reason behind this?
So first thing is the quality of education that youth is aspiring for is not available in our society. And second, also there's some form of cultural and social freedom that the youth is willing to have, which they might not get here. So that's why they are moving out, and there is brain drain because of this process.
So that is, yes, commonly understood and also correct. Countries that welcome immigration tend to gain over the long term because immigrants are necessarily people who have courage. They have risk-taking abilities. They end up becoming entrepreneurs, etc. India is also now a rising superpower. Yes?
Yes, sir.
There are neighboring countries, African countries, from where people would love to immigrate to India. Should India also use the same policy of embracing immigration?
So there are some benefits of the immigrants when they come to the country, like economic benefits. There is social and cultural diversity. But I think it should be to the extent that it does not harm our national interest, and there is not dearth of natural resources with which we can which we will be utilizing for other people in the country as well. So there should be a limit. And we have also seen that the countries are also taking, they are also making some restrictions, like only the good people, they are allowed to come there. That's why there are visa restrictions and there are certain restrictions. So we should follow that kind of approach.
Okay. Now coming to your mention about animal welfare and stray animals, why do dogs have a special place in the minds of humans? Why do we not treat them like chickens? Why don't we not send them for slaughter? What stops us?
So first reason that I can think is because they have been associated with us for a long time. It was the first animal to be domesticated, as it has also been found from Indus Valley civilization. And so second is, it is said that they are the best friend of a human being. They are very loyal. So maybe because of these reasons, they have special place in our hearts and people like them.
Do you think it's possibly because they were actually modified genetically by humans to suit their needs, to fit? There is no such species as a dog which exists in nature other than the one that humans have created by crossbreeding wolves and then just selecting for the types of characteristics that they want to domesticate. And so that has led them to become what they are now. The dogs are our creations. But why should we tolerate their existence in this urbanized society, what value do they have, especially the stray ones, which you claim to strive to do welfare for? Why should dogs be allowed to coexist? Stray dogs.
Each and every animal in our society, they have some role to play, like the ecological balance is one of the reasons. And second, there is also a kind of humanity with which we should treat them, and we should not be eliminating them altogether.
Tell me this about humanity. If I was to replace dogs with, say, snakes
Yes, sir.
in equal numbers, would we have the same attitude towards them?
So it is also culture specific. Like in some countries, cats are more loved than dogs. Say in Turkey, cats are more loved. So it is also culture specific that we are preferring dogs in our country.
But was there a culture that would embrace snakes like they would embrace dogs or cats? Dogs or cats, of course, are stereotypical pets, and they are moldable enough to fit into human society. What about other animals? Why is this special? Is there any psychology behind this? Is there anything very primitive, very primordial, which connects us to them?
There can be an anthropological reason behind this.
All right. My last question to you. You have mentioned that your second preference for service is the IFS,
Yes, sir.
which you have placed above the IPS.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What qualities should an IFS officer not have?
Not have. First, I would say that they should not be reactive. Rather, they should be responding. And so, second, whatever they say, it is very important, not just for the country, but geopolitically also it is significant. And so, third, they have to be very, very diplomatic, and it should be on the basis of the national interest alone. And sir, fourth, I would say that the ethos of the country, they are transmitted through the diplomats. So they should they should not be away from these ethos, like the ethos of India. They should be followed in whatever conversation or agenda they are doing.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. What is your own assessment about this mock on a scale of 1 to 10?
Sir, I need to read more sociology and
No, your own score. Score yourself. That helps us, assessing better.
it should be more than 170.
No. 1 to 10.
Okay, 1 to 10. Then I would say 6 or 7.
Okay. A fairly, very, very fair assessment. You've done very well. And you can also do 8 and 9.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you have the potential. So some general points. Start with some general points about greeting etiquette, etc. You enter if there is only one lady and she happens to be in the chair, then you greet the lady and not greet everybody separately.
Yes, sir.
If a gentleman is in the chair as chairperson and a lady is there, then you greet the chairman and the lady
Yes, sir.
and acknowledge others also.
Yes, sir.
But no separate greeting. Okay. Your dress is fine. Is this sari you're proposing to
No,
wear?
sir, there's another one.
Okay. So any sober sari, which is not floral or anything, plain, that typical UPSC saris which are available.
Yes, sir.
They come to a very good use subsequently also when you join.
Yes, sir.
No jewelry to be worn, no religious symbols for 25 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Then you can. Prepare your state well, all the information about your state. 99% questions will be from your DAF.
Yes, sir.
So each and every aspect, what you are fond of, what you have been doing, what you have studied, engineering, your optional subject, the 7 components of your GS, essay for instance I asked you.
Yes, sir.
Prepare them well, static as well as whatever is happening currently. Brush up your current affairs very well, because whatever is happening, Ukraine I think was, the Hamas and Israel
Yes, sir.
question. attentively listen to the question, understand its scope, and respond to what is relevant, what is being asked.
Yes.
Okay? So that will hold you in good stead. Instead of, and you were fine. You were quite precise, you well structured. Continue with that approach.
Yes, sir.
However, have a 360 view on all issues, very kaleidoscopic knowledge, something of everything. Issues of the current affairs also, like what is the possible solution? So possible solution, you must know what is the genesis and what are the problems. The other party is not willing. They want to push them into, the Mediterranean. That is their that is their public stance. So can there be a persuasion? Houthis as well, who are committed, who are merely a proxy of a particular actor. That actor, the equation is different, so have the macro picture and then fit in your pieces in your analysis.
Yes, sir.
Right? So there is China and Russia on one side, and the bloc, the Western nations on the other side, and Iran has its own axis to grind, and therefore Houthis are being prompted to. Iran is not suffering really. They want to, this is a war of attrition on Israel actually,
Yes, sir.
isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So have accurate perspective of all the things, everything.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Do that. Yes, sir.
Sociology, you basic, this was a very basic question, you completely lost it. What are the catchphrases? Material, non-material. What is the basic characteristic of material? That it is measurable,
Yes, sir.
directional, discrete, that you can find out fast car and faster car. Non-material side, you have got the fast car, but you have not imbibed the rules of safe driving. That is the non-material part. In context of the material culture, that should be your response. Okay.
Mhm. Yes, sir.
Your response was very fuzzy and women and that role and all. No, that is not the thing. Where is the non? That was not material, non-material culture. So your information must be accurate, and because you are an engineer, you would have studied sociology only for the purpose of UPSC. You've not, stayed with that subject
Yes, sir.
long enough to absorb its, its flavor, which gets absorbed over a period of time, and you actually practice it and see it and discuss it and all that. The problem is the notes will not, notes have a severe limitation. They only tell you this much. And the rest of the angles, only 90 degrees is known, and the 180 and 360 are not known.
Yes, sir.
So understand your concepts thoroughly.
Yes,
Some of our questions will be, especially caste, Sanskritization, the current issues of caste-based reservation and caste census and those kind of things. Mobility, the sociology has got hundreds of
Yes,
questions, which are very relatable. Family and related to family and a whole lot of things. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Anything else you would like to ask us?
No, sir.
Okay. All the best to you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.